the age of the building was 50 years plus. Now, here are the 4 questions, right? The 4 questions were age of the building, repair of the building, occupancy of the building, and whether or not they were the home ownership of the building. All right? Remember, it's average age, repair, occupancy, and ownership. Now, here are what the graph has said. It's saying that if the average age, now this is the 4 things that's easy to look at to say we are not gonna loan to you guys because these are some of the requirements, or these areas. Okay, not these guys, but these areas. So if the building is 50 years old or more, if the building is 50 years old, that may be a problem. That is a problem. That may be a problem. If the repair is poor, that's also an issue. If the occupancy is 90% in that property or in that neighborhood, that's also a problem. And if the ownership is 40% or below. So if you look at this, we'll say, okay, so the building is, first of all, is more than 50 years old, so it's old. But you got to remember, in the 1930s and 40s, there was a movement out to the suburb, right? There's a movement out. So you had a lot of newer constructions in that time, right? Because there was a movement out. There's a migration to the suburb. So 50 years or older. So if you put this into context, 50 years or old, and the repair is poor. So we're saying it's an older building, and no one does a repair. But coincide with that is an older building, no one does a repair, and there's a lot of people living there. So there says there's 90% occupancy. So you see how that meshes together. There's 90% occupancy, and so 50 years poor, 90%, and the ownership is 40% less. So they're saying not a lot of people own here. So why should we give them money? Because there's, what I think the number is 90% of the people living in poor, unrepaired home, and the buildings are older. So that's sort of where the bank starting and mortgage comes on a red line.